GTG's just gotten Baron though. Darius died. You can see his death timer is still 25 seconds. And red side has a ward outside the base. So this ward doesn't get swept. And that's going to be pretty important here. This is still 4v5, the siege here. But Brand doesn't respect the inside ward against the Crank. And he ends up getting grabbed. So right here, Brand is dead. He has nothing to save himself. And they pretty much just need to focus on clearing out those Baron minions and let Brand die. But Rek'Sai sees this and goes in. At this point, Brand is dead, but Rek'Sai can't stop the tunnel going in. Rek'Sai smites Jinx to try to get a knock-up on her. But Jinx kites back out of it, and the knock-up ends up hitting everyone but her. Janna tries to save Rek'Sai, but you can't heal the Olaf, and Jinx doesn't get knocked back. So there's just too much damage for that. Janna moving up so far gets her killed. Lysandra ult locks down Renekton. And here, Lysandra tanks the tower so that Jinx can continue to do damage. Also, there's a teleport here from Darius after the pentakill. So that was a 4v5 tower dive. It went really well because of the initial crank and the handling of the tower aggro. So here we're going to look at a potentially bad situation that gets turned around into a good one. There's three people here: the support, the ADC, and the mid from red team. Blue team's mid just got binded, and blue team's AD is also being zoned by Azir's soldiers who are throwing themselves under the tower. So right now, Zen is completely alone. There's not really a way for him to receive any assistance outside of an Ashe ult. So Ashe ults Azir. He is now the closest target, and he's stunned for a long time. He's also most of their damage. So here Ashe goes in to try and get all the damage down on him. Zen tries to follow it, but the other two members of red team begin focusing him, which is really the wrong choice because he's too tanky for them to just pick up, and Ashe is doing way more damage at the moment. Ashe just drops Jinx and Azir. Zen's still alive. Morg exhausts Lulu, and she ends up getting picked up as well. Now here, Malphite decides that this minion is just a huge objective. $20 gold. Elise gets separated from the rest of the team here. She starts to get focused. Lysandra goes in and tombs Jinx, but the rest of her team isn't close enough to follow up in time. So Lysandra and Elise are pretty much just out of the fight here. The wall goes down near Jinx to try and bring her closer. Brand throws the Pyroclasm and the Seer in her direction, and Anivia throws the Flash Frost in her direction. The rest of Jinx's team is completely free to do everything here, with the exception of the Glacial Storm, which is really the only thing the red team is devoted to dealing with them. Jinx runs out of the fight to avoid the Pyroclasm bouncing to anyone else. Elise is completely zoned. Anivia dies to Hemo Plague, and would have died to the rocket as well. Kog'Maw gets zapped, so he's slowed now. Kog'Maw has no escape. At this point, the call for Dragon is made. TF makes another call to go chase Brand. The rest of the team is still back here. They all decide to start Dragon. He begins fighting Brand. He starts calling for help. Jinx tries to roam down. The zap misses. At this point, there's nothing anyone can do to get to Brand. He can walk away until he decides to turn back because his cooldowns are back up. Blue team says we're done, go do Dragon. There's a zone of safety here. As soon as Brand turns around, there's no way Brand can do anything here. But TF walks back into him and gives a free kill. We do end up getting the dragon, but there's no reason to do that. So Lulu's just been forced back by blue team getting some poke damage. Nautilus goes in to try and contest his pink ward, but he isn't really successful. He stays in this corridor and red team starts to collapse on him, so Jinx throws some chompers to zone them, but Zen still ends up getting free damage. Red team calls for a teleport, and Lulu gets the flank off, but Nautilus uses that to escape. Unfortunately, he's in the middle of their team still, and he ends up dying. TF comes in and lands a red card though, which does a ton of damage and AoE to their team, in addition to Jinx's AoE crits when they begin to cluster. The wild cards and the rocket crits are eventually just too much when they all stand next to each other, and they end up picking up an ace for one character in a 4v5. So this is a siege that they're making after they get Baron. Lee cues the cannon, he goes in on it. He puts the ward down to try and safeguard to it, but immediately gets played by Thresh. He has no way to kick Ashe back into the team now, and he's used all his mobility, so he has no way out. He gets picked up for free, essentially. Now it's a 4v5, and Ashe is looking for a pick here, but Morgana's ready. She throws the black shield up as soon as she sees the arrow, but what she doesn't expect is the Thresh hook coming immediately afterward. The arrow breaks the shield, the hooks land on Jinx, and she gets pulled into the front. At this point, the red team clusters up for a Malphite ult, and they just get obliterated. Jinx is the only one left alive, and she can't deal with the Malphite. He's too tanky at this point. And this seals the game.